Most people think that crypto is about getting rich quick, but that's not what crypto actually is. And that's why a lot of people actually get it wrong. So, what we're going to talk about today is how you can understand the system a little bit more and hopefully make more informed decisions and determine whether it's even right for you. I know we get that common misconception that crypto is just about getting rich, but in reality, crypto is not just a lottery ticket or a shortcut to wealth. That promise of overnight riches often leads people to make poor decisions in chasing that goal. It's important to note too that crypto is not just magic internet money. Sure, it is internet money, but there's nothing real mystical about it. Crypto operates on a verifiable system with clear logical principles, not smoke and mirrors. See, these myths obscure what crypto actually represents, and that is a fundamental shift on how we think about ownership and control, which I'll get into here in the next couple slides. Whenever you think about the world around you and you think about finance, the one thing that you really want to understand is who controls that value, who decides the rules of the game that we all play. And this is a foundational question that crypto forces us to confront. See, in traditional systems, centralized authorities like the banks, like the brokerages, they're the ones that actually hold this power. Crypto allows you to come up with a different solution to that problem. First, let's start by talking about what a blockchain is. This is the layer in which crypto is built upon. So, a blockchain first is a shared digital ledger. So, every transaction that is done is recorded in a public database that anybody can go to and verify at any time. There is no single entity or single owner that controls the network. It's maintained collectively by all the participants around the world. And the most important thing is there are no silent changes. The history that takes place on the blockchain is permanent and transparent. Any alterations to anything on the blockchain requires a majority consensus, not just an executive making these decisions. Everyone, no matter who you are, goes to the blockchain and sees the same history. There is no hidden version of the truth. And also, there's no delays in reporting and all these kind of things you see in traditional finance. If you wanted to go see what I'm doing on the blockchain, you can look up my wallet address and you can see every transaction I've ever done. And so here's why that matters. And this is especially big whenever you consider some of the financial shenanigans that some of these centralized agencies pull. But the rules cannot be changed after you participate. And this is a huge concept that distinguishes crypto from traditional financial systems. When you enter into a cryptocurrency network, the protocol's rules are transparent and fixed. Unlike traditional institutions that can modify terms of service, change interest rates, impose new fees, the blockchain protocols require a broad consensus to alter these rules. Your agreement is not necessarily with the people that you don't necessarily trust, it's with the code. It's all verified by systematic approaches, not necessarily by one person or a group of people in a boardroom dictating those decisions. Whenever we talk about traditional finance, it's important to make this distinction. You don't necessarily own your assets. Your bank account, your brokerage holdings, even your retirement funds. You don't actually control these things. You have a claim to them. So whenever we talk about these claims, these are just promises made from these institutions that they'll honor your ownership. Most of the time they do, but if there's some type of catastrophic event and you go try to withdraw all your money and everyone's trying to do that, it's not going to work. Banks especially, they loan out 97% of the money that they have. So your deposit, they are loaning it out to other people. You have no control over that. You have just a digital ledger, I guess, in that sense too, but for an account that you don't control. Someone else holds the keys to that account, and with those keys come the ultimate control. See, this is where crypto makes a huge breakthrough in this problem. Whenever we talk about keys again, this is what actually represents ownership. So cryptographic keys in this sense are not just your access credentials, they are the ownership itself. Whenever you set up a private wallet or a DeFi wallet, That's something that you'll understand as well. Possession of these private keys means that you are the one that's in control of everything within that wallet. Okay, so again, we'll go over setting up wallets and that kind of stuff in a later video, but this is just a little bit of the foundational knowledge. Okay, so whenever you think of a wallet, you think of just something that holds money. And yeah, while in the traditional world that is true, that's not necessarily true 100% in crypto. Okay, so your wallet isn't necessarily a container for your crypto. It holds the digital keys or the digital signature that proves ownership of your crypto assets on the blockchain. And that's an important distinction too. Crypto doesn't necessarily live in your wallet. It lives on the blockchain. And the way that you can access your own crypto is by its signature matching the signature in your wallet. Each wallet has a one-to-one signature or a one-of-one signature. So that means only you are able to access the matching signature of that crypto on the blockchain. So there's no permission needed to use your crypto. There's no intermediary needed to access your crypto. And you don't have to ask anyone for approval to use your crypto. And that brings us to a very fundamental fact or a very well-known ethos within crypto that goes, not your keys, not your crypto. And this should feel like a foundational idea, and that's because it is. This principle defines the entire philosophy of crypto. And so if you've ever set up a centralized exchange, then you know that this is true as well. When you set up your account, you don't have access to the private keys for that wallet. If you ever set up like a MetaMask or a Rabbit or a Phantom wallet, whenever you set it up, one of the first things you get is your private keys, usually a 12-word or 24-word phrase that grants you access to your crypto. See, that set of words, that seed phrase, is what actually grants you the power. That's what grants you ownership. So if somebody else controls your private keys, for example, an exchange, then they control your assets. All of these different services, whether it's an exchange, a custodial service, any mobile app, if they hold the keys to your crypto, then you're in a traditional finance ecosystem. So now let's take a look at the difference between these two systems. So in traditional finance, it's all permission based. You need approval to do certain things. Go get a loan, that kind of stuff. You need to have some third party or some other person that is just taking a broad look at your life, taking a look at your expenses and your income and whatever else to make that decision for you. There are certain restrictions. Even in crypto, there are certain restrictions based on where you're at. Sometimes U.S. based investors have a little bit harder time with certain things. It's not the crypto's fault. It's due to our regulatory agencies. And then finally, you have gatekeepers. These intermediaries, they control a lot of the access and the decisions that are made. So your ability to transact depends solely on the institutional approval every step of the way. See, in crypto, that changes this whole system. It's all permissionless. And the first thing here is open access. Anybody that has a wallet can go participate into any decentralized application without any approval from any centralized agency. Protocol rules also apply to everybody equally. There's no special permissions for people that may be intelligence agencies or certain different situations. The same rules apply to everybody. And the last thing is there's a lot of self-responsibility. You control your own participation. It doesn't rely on what anybody else does or says or how they feel about your participation in any network. The system doesn't know or care who you are, only that you are the actual person that owns the keys to whatever assets you're trying to deal with. It's not always rainbows and butterflies, as they say. So one of the big trade-offs with crypto is, it doesn't protect you from making bad decisions. In fact, it's very important to make sure that you're maintaining security and you're being smart with your money, because in crypto there is no customer service, there's no fraud department, and there's no undo button. Whenever you send your crypto away, you better make sure that you're sending it to somewhere that you want it to be sent to, because there is no taking that transaction back. The same system that prevents others from controlling your assets also means that you bear complete responsibility for those same assets. If you send your funds to the wrong address, they're gone. If you lose your private keys, you can't get access to your crypto. If you fall for a scam, there is no bank that's going to reverse that transaction. So, in the wise words of Peter Parker, with great power comes great responsibility. So, the counterbalance to this is it does protect you from other people's bad decisions. If your bank lends out too much money and they go insolvent, then you are protected if you're in digital assets. If you're in that bank, then chances are that money's gone. So the good thing about crypto is nobody can freeze your accounts. No government agency can seize your assets. And no bank can decide that you're too risky for a loan. Everything that you would do in traditional finance, you can also do in crypto. But the difference is that you are the one in power. And so let's go back to this magic internet money myth. Because in reality, what you need to consider is that money has always been kind of an abstract idea. Paper currency is already abstract. They can print that to infinity. It's valuable because we agree on it, but as you can see in the world around us, less and less people are coming to that consensus that paper currency is still valuable. Digital banking too, it's very abstract. You're just looking at numbers on a screen. When in reality, that money that you have in there is being rehypothecated all over the place. And again, it's part of a system that relies on a lot of, let's say, a lack of transparency. Okay, so cryptocurrency is nothing new in the sense that it's also a little bit abstract. But what's revolutionary isn't the fact that it's digital; it's the control shift from centralized institutions to the individual holding those cryptographic keys. And again, the abstraction between the currency is not new. The sovereignty is the ability for you to be in control of your own assets. That is what this shift is. So whenever we're looking at crypto, this is what crypto actually is. First thing is self-custody. You are the one that's in control of your own assets. You don't rely on any third-party custodians to safeguard or to lose those assets. It's an open infrastructure. There's a public, transparent system that anybody can access, build on, or verify without permission. And finally, it's financial sovereignty. You have complete authority over your own economic decisions, free from institutional interference. And these three pillars here define what cryptocurrency really offers. And this is a new relationship between individuals and their wealth. An important distinction to make here is that just because you understand these things doesn't necessarily guarantee safe operations. You still have to have some execution of some critical ideas here whenever it comes to safety, whenever it comes to setting up your infrastructure to use crypto. So grasping the philosophy of crypto is different from implementing these best security practices. Knowledge doesn't automatically transfer to safe execution. Understanding private keys doesn't mean storing them securely. Knowing about scams does not help you avoid them in some cases. And recognizing the importance of backing up your information doesn't mean that you've created those backups properly. See, tools matter in this case. You need the right wallets, the right password managers, good strategies for backing up your information, and security practice to translate understanding into actual safety. And these are all things that we'll cover in a little bit more depth in future videos. I have some suggestions and recommendations for all these things as well. But for now, just know that there is a little bit of a protocol to being in crypto safely. There's a lot of scammers in the place. You have to know how to fight them off. So what comes next? Here in future videos, we'll talk about certain tools. We'll get into hardware wallets, software wallets, different password managers, and different technologies that help enable secure self-custody. One of those tools is going to be wallets. So we'll get into the different types of wallets, the different security trade-offs between all of them, and what situations call for using which one, whether it's a hot wallet, cold wallet, whatever. Third thing is we'll get into self custody, and this will cover practical implementation of controlling your own keys, including backup strategies and recovery planning. And finally, we'll cover best practices. These will be security protocols, ways you can verify things, and operational habits that you can use to protect you from common mistakes. The philosophical foundation here that we've covered today is just the beginning. Over the next few videos, we'll get into some actual practical things you can use uh, that require learning operational details. And let's close with this. With anything financially related, you always want to know what you're investing in and why. And cryptocurrency is not exempt from this. Actually, with crypto, it's a little bit more important to be in tune with what you're doing or aligned with what you're doing, because there's a lot of onus on you to be able to weather some storms or to be able to effectively manage your funds in a way that traditional asset managers can't. So whenever you take the leap into crypto, there's an added sense of responsibility for you to make sure that you're doing things correctly, doing things safely, and keeping yourself out of trouble. So hopefully this helps break down a little bit what crypto is, how it can help free us all from the shackles of the traditional financial ecosystem. Of course, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, and we'll be covering some more of this stuff in later videos. Until next time, peace.